Tanya here, and I have spent the last day researching the very best strategies for online or virtual teaching and learning. So I'm going to share those with you. So let's get started. Okay, first, I just want to say many of these strategies are confirmed with John Hattie's research on the best strategies for learning. So if you haven't checked out John Hattie and his research, you need to. Super powerful stuff. There is actually a webinar at my YouTube channel about him and how he conducts his studies. So, okay, number one, programs need a human teacher. If they're completely automated, it's going to lose its effectiveness. There needs to be that human element on that online education. Very, very important. This is number one. Like, it's number one for a reason, because the teacher is the most important factor in any learning environment. Number two, that teacher needs a set schedule. So kids need to know, when can I go to my teacher for help? And this needs to be the same week after week after week. That way this pattern forms and they know when they can get their questions answered. You don't want to be changing this up based on your schedule. This needs to be for students and parents, set schedule as much as possible. Number three, you need to train kids on the software first. So at the very beginning of the semester, you're going to train them how to use those tools. The last thing you want is for a kid to be engaged in some learning and they're ready to go, and then they can't run the program and they lose that motivation. So make sure they can run it first. The best way to do that is to just have a fun little project, like, hey, you're going to do this fun little cool thing and learn how to use this app. Number four, make sure you have shared the expectations for the program with students and with parents. You need to offer some guidelines, like let them know, hey, you need a set time to sit down. You're going to have to check weekly announcements. You're going to have about 3 hours of work per week. Kind of let them know what to expect and what they need to expect. Don't let them play a guessing game, okay? Otherwise, the reality will be that they really lose motivation. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to get their questions answered. They're like, hey, hate this, not going to do it. Number five, use videos. Very, very important. Videos for lectures. I mean, lectures really have a bad rap, but lectures are the most efficient, quickest way to get information to another human being. There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, you will need it more than ever in this online setting. So also instructional videos, like if you need to show a kid how to use a website or what a sample looks like, that's great. You need to use videos. You need to keep them as short as possible. If you have a ton of content to cover and it's like 30 minutes, you know what? In the classroom, you had a kid kind of trapped there and you thought they were listening and learning, but many times they, were daydreaming or whatever, but you kind of had them trapped. So they were kind of forced to listen. If the video is too long, they're going to lose interest. They're at home. They have tons of other things they can do with their time and they're kids. Okay, so keep it short and manageable. Develop collaborative activities. So to keep that motivation up, you really need some peer involvement here. This is going to be super tricky in the online environment. How are you going to do this? Well, I would say the Google apps have tons of collaborative types of things you could do. You're going to probably have to change some of your assignments and sometimes, just completely overhaul them to make them more of a collaborative type of activity. So one of the most common ones is that they do some research on a Google Slides, and every student needs to contribute 2 slides or something like that. So this one, yes, is going to be very tricky, but very, very important. Number 7, keep that work in manageable chunks. So just like with the videos, kids lose interest after 3 or 4 minutes. So the chunking of work needs to be chunked probably more so than it was in the traditional classroom, but really teachers are experts at this. We do this all the time. We've been doing this in the traditional seated setting, for years. So this shouldn't be too much of a trouble, but you might need to chunk it down even further so they can kind of master that as they go. If you can, host discussion. So this kind of goes back to that peer involvement, which a discussion meets that requirement, but it also allows kids to discuss the content. And so when they're verbalizing that and kind of hashing out the details, they're going to learn a lot. Most learning management systems have this built-in discussion forum where you can post a question and then kids have to, they're required to make 2 postings or something like that. You could also do live type of things where you're meeting, in a synchronous environment where everyone's going to join in and have this conversation. That one might be a little more tricky because people's schedules are going to really change here with this virtual environment. Number 9, use a lot of short quizzes for practice. So keep those quizzes short. Don't wait till the very end and give them this, massive test. Nope, just short quizzes throughout. The great thing about going virtual is your LMS has a way to automate the grading of those practice quizzes. So that's very nice. Of course, that wouldn't apply to essay questions, but keep in mind these short quizzes are just kind of to give them this chance to practice and to, just retain that basic information. You can use lots of game type things like Kahoot quizzes to help as reviews. It doesn't have to be like your standard quiz, but they do need to be practicing and they need to do that often. And finally, number 10, to increase motivation, gamification, having some kind of badge program or some kind of competition, like the first team done is going to get some bonus points. I mean, in a virtual education, I don't know what else they could win because you don't really see them. So not sure how you would reward that competition, but try to gamify it, make it a little more fun. And those are your top 10 strategies for online and virtual education. Good luck, people.